I don't actually. God damn it. Hi, welcome to the Pros Engineer. I am the Pros Engineer. Recently, I released my reaction to the Wheel of Time Season 3 sneak peek, which is basically just the first 11 minutes of Season 3, and I liked it generally. The visuals were a huge step up from previous seasons of the show. The camera shots were a lot more clever and creative this time around. It felt like whoever directed it had a vision for what they wanted this show to be. But one thing I really wasn't impressed with in this teaser was the dialogue, and in this video I want to talk about why. My criticisms were mostly centered around a short scene where we see Jean Cade, who's fighting other Aes Sedai when her warder is killed. But instead of being like super sad about it, like we would expect based on all the other depictions of the warder bond, she actually laughs like hysterically. This is supposed to show how unhinged she is and reveal her to be Black Aja. I like it in theory, but the execution just isn't there.
Jane, Jasmine, help us get inside.
I've killed you, Mortis. I'll kill you too.
Yes, I can feel it. I can feel them dying. It's so good.
So this consists of two different lines of dialogue, neither of which I think are really good. The first one is, "I killed your warder. I'll kill you too."
I've killed you, Mortis. I'll kill you too.
And honestly, I'm just not sure why this line is even here in the first place. All it's really doing is recapping what happened in the scene. So ideally, you wouldn't actually need this line of dialogue at all if the actions from the scene were communicated effectively, which they weren't. The actual strike that kills the warders is really quick, and it feels like there was a lot that was maybe cut out of the scene because it went super fast and it's not even clear that the warders are dead, which is why they had to tell us what just happened in that scene. The line itself is also like in a voiceover, and it's not really clear who's speaking, which makes me think that this was sort of like a reshoot and added later to make the scene more clear.
I've killed you, Mortis. I'll kill you too.
And it really breaks the flow of an otherwise really cool action sequence with this dialogue that doesn't actually need to be here. The next line is, "Yes, I can feel it. I can feel them dying. It's so good."
Yes, I can feel it. I can feel them dying. It's so good.
And I don't think this is nearly as bad as the previous line of dialogue, but it still doesn't really add much to the scene. All of the things that Jean Cade just said can be communicated through her facial expression. She's smiling, she's laughing, it feels good to her, and we can see that by the way she's acting. You don't really need the line of dialogue to explicitly tell you this. This is just badly written, and the worst part is it absolutely just doesn't need to be. This is a total unforced error. I know this is going to sound a little bit cliche, but Rafe Judkins, you got a show don't tell, man. Television is a visual medium. There are a lot of ways to convey information in a scene. Dialogue, actions, facial expressions, body language. Out of all of these, dialogue is the most explicit and it's the most heavy-handed. When you say something in dialogue, the audience notices. This goes for screenwriting and even novel writing too. When you see quotation marks on a page of text, that line jumps out at you. The same thing goes for when an actor speaks a line.
I've killed you, Mortis. I'll kill you too.
So when we have this line of dialogue, this is practically just yelling at the audience what the writers want to convey. They're just recapping what the previous scene was because they didn't have enough time to, actually show it. What they're doing is they're telling the audience what the scene is supposed to represent for these characters instead of just, showing them. As a result, it comes off as jarring and breaks the flow of the scene, which I should remind you, this is an action sequence, and a pretty good one at that. But the flow is just broken. So, how would I rewrite the scene? I would take a little bit more time with it. I would linger on the consequences of this information. And, most importantly, I would focus on the emotions of the characters in the scene. And so, without further ado, here is this scene from The Wheel of Time, rewritten by me, the prose engineer. Giancade's warder rushes the Aes Sedai. He swings his knife but is caught by a weave. We linger on his face as, struggling, he is forced to his knees. As he begins to choke, we see his pleading expression for help as air is forced from his lungs. We, as the audience, know what this means. The warder bond has been built up over the last 2 seasons, first with Stepan's death and then with Lan and Moraine. We know that any Aes Sedai would be enraged to see her warder so close to death. And then we cut back to Giancade. She's laughing? She enjoys this in a disturbing, inhuman way. Cut back to the warder as the last vestiges of his breath leak away and he falls lifeless to the floor. This is a scene that takes a little bit longer, but it has just so much more impact. You don't even need a single line of dialogue to convey the same message. It's all right there, shown through the character's body language and expressions for us, the audience, to interpret. And you know what? Sure, there'll be some in the audience that miss the message, but that's okay. Nothing you can ever write will ever be caught by 100% of the people who watch it. But for those people, on a rewatch, it'll just be so much more impactful because it was done in a clever and sophisticated way. This is a fundamental problem that I have with a lot of the writing in this show. Scenes just need space to breathe, and information can be conveyed in ways other than explicitly just telling the audience. It's not even that hard to improve some of these scenes, but they've just chosen not to, and I think the quality of the show suffers for it. It feels like huge swaths of this show were hacked away, left abandoned on the cutting room floor. And you know what? They probably were. 8 episodes, 45 minutes to an hour each. You just can't shove one of these books into that amount of time. You just can't. So yeah, Amazon, if you're listening, give The Wheel of Time more episodes. Give it some of that Rings of Power money. Literally no one likes that show anyway. I don't think anyone would notice or care. Please, just make one really good fantasy show. Put all of your eggs in one basket, because that's how you make the next Game of Thrones. Not this piecemeal 8 episodes a season, 2 different shows bullshit. That's not how you're going to get anywhere. And I know you really, really want your next Game of Thrones. And I think Wheel of Time could be that for you if you just gave it a few more episodes.
I don't want it.
So now that we're at the end of this video, I just want to talk to you a little bit about what I want this channel to be. This channel is a place where I talk about writing. I mean books, movies, TV shows, and just general creative writing tips. I love to write. I'm working on a novel right now, but I don't really have anyone to talk about it with. So that's where this channel is for, to discuss writing. If that sounds appealing to you, then please subscribe and join me in the comments down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. See you in the next one. Thanks.